Let's take you back to the Western Cape now with developments around that flooding and heavy rains that has disrupted the lives of many. And that's in Citrusdal and Ceres, where there have been extensive damage to infrastructure and the roads there. For an update on the situation this afternoon, we're joined by the province's infrastructure MEC Tertuis Simmers. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, MEC. Maybe you could start by giving the viewers just a broad overview of what the situation currently looks like and how the people have managed to find safety, food, water, and I suppose some shelter for those who have been displaced as a result of the heavy rains and floods in the area.
Indeed, thank you and good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, indeed, a lot has happened over the last 36 hours, including that the next storm wave has just about landed on our shores as we are busy speaking to you. In terms of those areas that were heavily affected, obviously Citrusdal is one of the key areas that were massively affected and cut off from key arteries into that community. We did see yesterday morning that finally emergency vehicles were able to cross into Citrusdal to provide that community with much needed food and blankets, but also through the assistance of key partners, and among others, through our Department of Local Government and our Provincial Disaster Management Centre. We've also seen various other routes linking Citrusdal to Ceres also now being able to open for traffic. It is still accessible to light passenger vehicles. I need to emphasize that. And, there has been a request that, people must drive slowly and carefully on that specific piece of road. There are quite a number of roads which have also seen reopening across the three most heavily affected districts of our province. We have seen some roads still partially closed. 4 of them, the bulk of them are all in the West Coast district of our province. And there's 15 roads still closed, spread out across 3 of our major districts which have been heavily affected at this moment.
MEC, can you confirm, the visuals that we are showing on screen are quite sad in terms of the damage that's been caused over the last few days. But can you confirm that no one or no death has been recorded at this stage?
Well, I must say, just prior to logging on to you for your interview, we have now been informed that between on the border of the Overberg district and the Garden Route district, 2 fatalities have been brought to our attention. I believe the police divers were busy, to get one of those bodies out. Sadly, these are individuals who tried to cross the Buffeljachts River, which is just outside of Swellendam yesterday. And the other individual sadly refused to evacuate, which is in the Vredendal area. So we now have 2 confirmed casualties, one in the Overberg district and one in the West Coast District Municipal Area.
That is very unfortunate indeed, MEC, and we just hope that we won't be getting any further reports. And you've just heard it here first that there have been 2 deaths as a result of these floods and the heavy rains. MEC, do you have a report or initial report of the kind of damage or the extent of the damage that has been caused to the different infrastructure in those communities?
Well, no, indeed, our technical teams, together with the Disaster Management Centre and local government, has been out on the ground for the last 48 hours. And one needs to commend them for that. Technical assessments has been done. Alternative routes has been identified, where roads have totally been washed away. The true cost of this devastation brought on by the rains, we will be able to get within the new week through our technical teams, but we're also looking at opening up alternative, gravel roads and so forth, where communities will not be able to utilize their traditional roads. However, we've also seen cleanup operations happening across our province, including in the city of Cape Town and all of our non-metro municipalities, together with our provincial roads team and SANRAL in terms of the tunnel itself, which is now effectively open. So we have seen a strategic and very effective response by our Provincial Disaster Management Centre in coordination with key partners and stakeholders to ensure that we do get things up and running, but also that we have open up a flow of traffic into these various affected communities within, I believe, a very short space of time, but also creating alternative avenues and effectively communicating it through to our various communities using various mediums to indicate, what alternative routes are in the areas where they do live.
Yeah, MEC, we've seen rather images of Gift of the Givers getting actively involved and providing the essential supplies to those who've been affected by these floods and the heavy rains. In terms of the people who've been displaced, where are they being housed, and what is that kind of structure looking like in terms of the organization of the alternative housing that has been provided for those who've been displaced while we try and get things back to some sense of normality?
Well, indeed, in the most heavily affected municipal areas, we have seen municipalities utilizing community halls, school halls where possible. Some churches have also come on board to assist these affected communities, and the local mayors and the councillors are on the ground effectively communicating where alternative, lodging are available to them, while we are looking together with our local government department and the Disaster Management Centre for medium to long-term solution. But effectively, those areas that have been heavily affected, we have seen them now being moved into community halls, and as I said, school halls where they effectively are, so in churches that have opened up to play a role as well.
MEC, just a final thought from you. We did interviews a little bit earlier, and it was confirmed by various stakeholders or experts within the weather field, saying this is very uncommon for the area at this time of year. So are you confident that your department and the rest of the provincial government have got the kind of resources that will be able to restore not only the homes and livelihoods of those who've been affected, but the crucial infrastructure which you've been lamenting as we've had our discussion, that needs to be restored so that traffic can start to flow with the ease that it would have before the floods that we saw?
Well, indeed, from the disaster management response period, the response that is required, who does what, that has been a plan that's been in place through my colleague, Provincial Minister MEC Citrusdal and his team in the Disaster Management Centre, together with our technical teams in my department, linking up with various stakeholders and municipalities as well to play an effective role. Obviously, once the true cost of the damage to not only road infrastructure, but general infrastructure can be assessed and quantified, I do believe, as provincial government, through our Disaster Management Centre, together with the support of our provincial treasury, we will need to approach national treasury, obviously, for additional funding, given that in some areas the scale of damage that has occurred due to this, I think it's a 1 in 100-year cycle which we are observing in certain areas, given how high the flood levels have gone, that we will need additional funding through the National Disaster Centre. But from a readiness perspective, to be reactive, to ensure that we limit the impact on the citizens of the Western Cape, that we are working together with partnerships, with our key stakeholders, but above all, we are communicating with our citizens, because we do have a plan, an effective plan that kicked in immediately once we started being alerted to these various disastrous infrastructure cases happening across our 3 key districts, including some areas of the city of Cape Town itself.
And then just before I let you go, please just double confirm with us, MEC, 2 people have been confirmed dead as a result of these particular floods at this stage, according to your knowledge.
That is correct. Like I said, before I came on, I was alerted. 1 in the Overberg/Garden Route boundary, which has been swollen down, and the other is in the West Coast District area, the Vredendal area, which is the 2 that is confirmed.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. That is the Western Cape Infrastructure MEC Tertuis Simmers giving us an update there of the level of damage that has been caused by the floods, but also the mop-up efforts that are being initiated by his department and, of course, the rest of the provincial government and other organizations like Gift of the Givers.